Tom arrived early every morning before the twin suns rose above the purple sky of Ura. The air outside the palace shimmered with blue mist from the glowing plants that lined the walkway. He wore his gray janitor suit, carried his old cleaning bag, and walked with slow steps toward the great golden doors. He had been on this planet for 3 years now, and every day still felt strange. The people of Ura were taller than humans, with bright eyes and smooth silver skin. They spoke in musical tones that sounded like wind and water together. Tom was the only human worker inside the royal palace. Most humans worked in mines or repair stations far from the capital. He had taken this job because it was safer and quiet, because he could live near the city where his little son Ben stayed at a small human shelter. Ben was only 7 years old and often asked when they could go back to Earth. Tom never had an answer. Earth had fallen silent after the last war. Most humans had been scattered among alien colonies. Inside the palace, Tom's job was simple. He cleaned the halls, polished the mirrors, fixed broken pipes, and replaced cracked tiles. But he liked it. The palace was peaceful, filled with glowing walls and singing fountains. It was the home of Queen Rinna, ruler of the Uran Empire. She was known for her strict laws, sharp mind, and dislike of humans. Many aliens whispered that she only allowed Tom to stay because he worked without complaint and never spoke unless asked. Tom followed his usual route that morning. He cleaned the lower corridor, then the long crystal stairway that led to the library chamber. The library was his favorite place. It smelled of old paper and strange alien ink. Thousands of floating books drifted gently in the air, moving when someone called their name. The first time Tom saw them, he had laughed like a child. Books that could fly. It felt magical. He never touched them unless they fell to the floor. But sometimes he liked to watch them spin slowly in the sunlight. They reminded him of the old-school library back on Earth, where his late wife used to teach. She had been a language teacher, gentle and kind. She loved words, and she had once told him that even when stars die, stories keep them alive. Tom often thought of her words when he worked in silence. That day, as he dusted the golden shelves, he heard a small, frustrated sound. It was a soft growl that came from behind one of the floating bookshelves. He turned and saw a young alien girl sitting on the floor. Her silver skin shimmered faintly in the light, and her dark blue eyes were wet with tears. She was about 10 years old in human years. Around her were books scattered across the floor. One of them was an old Earth book with torn pages. Tom froze. He recognized her at once. She was Princess Mira, daughter of Queen Rinna. He had only seen her from a distance during royal walks, guarded by soldiers. She was said to be curious but lonely, a princess who often ignored the palace tutors. Now she was here, alone, trying to read. The princess looked up and frowned when she saw him. "You are the human janitor," she said with a voice that carried pride. "You should not be here when I study." Tom lowered his head quickly. "Forgive me, princess," he said. "I am only cleaning." He began to step back, but she threw the book aside in anger. "These letters make no sense," she said. "Your human words are strange and ugly. I cannot understand them." Tom stopped. He looked at the book lying open on the floor. It was an English reader for beginners, a kind that children on Earth used to learn simple words. He hesitated, then asked softly, "Are you trying to read English?" She blinked. "It is a human language, yes. My mother wants me to learn it, but my tutor quit." He said, "Human words twist like vines and have no pattern." Tom smiled a little. "It is not so hard once you know the rhythm. May I show you?" She crossed her arms. "You are a janitor. You cannot teach." "Wait." He nodded. "That is true. But I used to help my wife teach before she passed away. She was a language teacher. I only learned a little from her." Myra looked curious now. "You mean you can read this?" Tom picked up the book carefully and looked at the page. It showed a drawing of a cat. Below it was the word cat, written in large letters. He said slowly, "This says cat. It is a small earth animal." Mira frowned. "We have falcons here. They fly and hunt at night." "Yes," Tom said. "But cats stay close to humans. They purr when they are happy. The girl repeated the word softly, cat. She smiled a little. That is easy. Tom nodded. Most words are easy when you start small. She looked at him for a long moment. If my mother finds out you were teaching me, she will be angry. Then maybe we do not call it teaching, Tom said quietly. We can call it helping. The princess tilted her head, thinking. Then she gave a small smile. Very well, human. You will help me until I can read this whole book, but no one must know. From that day, their secret lessons began. Every evening. After Tom finished cleaning the main halls, he returned quietly to the library. Mira was always there waiting, sitting cross-legged on the floor with books scattered around her. She learned fast. Tom showed her simple words first. Sun, sky, star, water, then small sentences. The sun is bright. The water is blue. She loved the way English sounded, simple yet full of warmth. Sometimes Tom used stories to explain meanings. He told her about Earth, about trees that changed color in autumn and snow that covered cities like white blankets. Mira listened with wide eyes. She asked questions about human food, animals, and songs. She was surprised to hear that humans used music to express feelings. You humans are strange, she said one night. You make songs even when you are sad. Tom smiled. That is how we heal. We sing to remember hope. She thought for a while, and then said softly, I wish our people did that. Here we hide sadness behind pride. Tom felt a quiet connection growing between them. He saw in her the same loneliness he felt every night when he looked at his son's photo. Mira had everything: power, beauty, and riches, but she had no one to share simple joy with. As weeks passed, she began to read small stories on her own. She read slowly, but proudly, and when she finished a page, she clapped her hands in delight. One evening, she brought him a gift, a small blue crystal that glowed softly. This is from my world, she said. It shines when someone speaks truth. Keep it. Tom accepted it with respect. Thank you, princess. I will keep it safe. The lessons continued in secret for 2 months. Tom made sure to leave before the royal guards changed shifts. Sometimes he carried cleaning tools to pretend he was still working. No one suspected him. The other palace staff ignored the quiet human who never caused trouble. One night. However, things changed. Tom arrived at the library as usual. He saw Mira sitting with a new book, one filled with long English sentences. She was reading aloud proudly when the sound of heavy steps echoed in the hallway. Tom's heart jumped. Mira froze. The tall golden doors opened and light flooded in. Standing there was Queen Rinna herself. Her eyes were cold and bright as stars. Her silver robe shimmered like liquid metal. She looked from her daughter to the human janitor, and then to the open book in Mira's hands. What is this? The queen said in a calm but dangerous voice. Why is the human here during royal hours? And why are you holding an earth book? Mira stood quickly. Mother, please, he was only helping me read. The queen's gaze hardened. Helping? You mean this human dares to teach you? Tom bowed deeply, his heart pounding. Your Majesty, forgive me. The princess asked for help, and I did not wish to refuse her. You will speak only when spoken to, she said sharply. Her voice carried power that made the air itself tremble. She turned to her daughter. You have royal tutors. You do not need a janitor to fill your mind with human weakness. Mira clenched her fists. But he is not weak. He teaches with kindness. He does not shout like the others. The queen's eyes softened for a second, but then turned cold again. Enough. Both of you will leave this chamber at once. Tom stepped back slowly. He feared he might lose his job or worse. He picked up his cleaning bag and lowered his head. But before leaving, he said quietly, I only wanted to help her learn something that may bring peace between our worlds. The queen said nothing. Her sharp gaze followed him until he disappeared down the corridor. That night, Tom did not sleep. He sat on his small bed in his narrow room, thinking about what had happened. He feared that the next morning the guards would come for him. But at dawn, No one came. The palace was quiet as usual. He went to work, expecting whispers or stares, but everyone acted normal. Then, as he passed the Great Hall, a small drone floated toward him and projected a message. It was a royal command written in glowing blue letters. It said, "Report to the throne chamber at sunset." Out. Tom's heart sank. He knew the queen wanted to see him. He looked at the glowing message for a long time, then closed his eyes and whispered, "For Ben, I must stay brave." As the day passed, he cleaned each corner carefully, his hands trembling at times. When the twin suns began to set, painting the sky gold and red, Tom walked slowly toward the throne chamber. The guards opened the tall silver doors, and he stepped inside. Queen Rinna sat upon her high crystal throne, silent and regal. Her daughter stood beside her, looking worried. Tom knelt on one knee and waited for the queen to speak. The queen looked at him with unreadable eyes. After a long silence, she said, "Human, you taught my daughter something forbidden without my leave. Yet my daughter claims." The next morning, Tom woke before the twin suns rose. He had not slept well. The queen's gaze from yesterday haunted him. Her expression had been cold but thoughtful, as if she was weighing the meaning of every word he had spoken. He worried about what would happen next. Would he be punished? Or would the queen banish him from the palace completely? He took a deep breath and reminded himself of Ben. His little boy was counting on him. Tom could not give up. Not yet. He dressed quickly in his gray janitor uniform and carried his cleaning bag. The palace was quiet in the early hours. The halls smelled of polished crystal and fresh water from the floating fountains. Tom followed his usual route, stopping first at the lower corridor to check for broken pipes. Every task he did, he tried to do perfectly. His hands moved carefully over every tile, every piece of glass. He wanted to avoid even the smallest mistake. When he reached the library, he saw Mira waiting. She sat cross-legged on the floor, her long silver hair catching the soft sunlight from the floating windows. Her dark blue eyes lit up when she saw him. "Good morning, Tom," she said. "Did the queen say anything more about yesterday?" Tom shook his head. "Nothing yet, but we must be careful. The palace watches more than we realize." Mira frowned slightly, but did not complain. She picked up the English book again and tried to read a sentence aloud. Her pronunciation was hesitant. "The cat sleeps on the mat." Tom smiled. "Good. Very good. Just a little smoother. Try again." She repeated the sentence, this time with more confidence. She looked at him and smiled proudly. "I think I understand it now." Tom nodded. "Yes, Mira. You are learning faster than many children on Earth." Mira's eyes widened. "Faster? Really?" "Yes," he said. "Your mind is sharp, and your heart wants to understand. That makes learning easier." She blushed slightly and went back to reading. Tom noticed that her concentration was deep, almost like she was lost in a different world. He smiled quietly to himself. This was why he continued these secret lessons. Mira was not just a princess. She was a child with curiosity, a mind ready to grow. After the first lesson, Tom moved to clean the upper hallways. He worked slowly, thinking about how to make their lessons more interesting. He remembered how his wife used to teach. She always used stories and simple examples. He decided to try the same approach with Mira. When he returned that evening, he carried a small stack of illustrated books from Earth. Mira's eyes lit up when she saw them. "Stories?" she asked excitedly. "Yes," Tom said. "Stories help you remember words. They teach more than rules. They teach meaning." She clapped her hands softly and sat down. Tom opened the first book. It was a story about a young human boy and his dog. He read slowly, emphasizing simple words. Mira repeated them carefully. Boy, dog. Happy, run. Together, as they read, Tom added small explanations. When we say happy, it means feeling good inside. Feeling like the sun is shining in your heart, Mira repeated, sun shining in heart. She laughed softly. That sounds beautiful, yes, Tom said. That is why words matter? They carry feelings. The story continued, and Mira began to understand not just the words, but the meaning behind them. She asked questions about the characters. Why did the boy help the dog? Tom smiled. Because helping is a kind choice. Humans believe helping others is more important than being first or strongest. Mira thought for a moment. We sometimes fight to be first. We do not think of helping as much. That is why stories are important, Tom said. They teach lessons quietly. You can learn without fighting or being scared. Ira's eyes were wide as she considered his words. I want to learn like this every day, she said softly. Tom nodded. We will, but always in secret. Your mother must not see. Mira frowned, but agreed. I understand. It is our secret. Days turned into weeks. Every evening, Tom and Mira met in the library. They read stories about humans, about animals, about places far away. Tom taught her simple words first, then phrases, then sentences. He showed her songs and poems. Myra's confidence grew with every lesson. Soon she could read small paragraphs without help. Her pronunciation improved, and she began to form her own sentences. One night, as they finished a story about a human boy who saved a small bird, Mira looked at Tom with wide eyes. Tom, I want to tell my own story. Can you help me? Of course, he said warmly. Stories are yours to tell. Start with something you know, something that happened to you or someone you love. Mira thought for a long moment. Then she began slowly. Once, there was a little girl who loved the stars. Tom listened carefully, encouraging her as she spoke. Good, keep going. What did she love about the stars? She shine at night, and she wished to touch them, Mira said proudly. That is wonderful, Tom said. See, you are already telling a story. Mira smiled. I never thought I could do this. You can, Tom said. Everyone can if they try. Their lessons began to include drawing and storytelling. Mira illustrated her stories with colors and shapes, showing her imagination. Tom helped her write the words in English. Together they created a small book of stories that Mira called My Stars and Words. The bond between them grew. Mira started to trust Tom with her thoughts. She spoke of her loneliness, of the tutors who only scolded her, of the soldiers who treated her like a prize instead of a person. Tom listened quietly. He shared small stories of Earth too, always careful not to overburden her with sad tales. He spoke of kindness, courage, and simple joys. Myra's laughter began to echo through the library halls. But Tom was always aware of danger. The queen watched her daughter closely, and palace guards roamed the halls day and night. They could not be discovered. One evening, a new tutor arrived. He was tall, strict, and impatient with Myra. She tried to hide the book under a chair, but he noticed, Princess, what is this? He demanded. Mira froze. Tom stepped out from behind the shelf, holding the book gently. It is nothing harmful, he said calmly. Just reading practice. The tutor frowned. I should report this to the queen. Tom shook his head. No, it is only learning. Mira is safe. The tutor left suspiciously, but Mira hugged the book close. Thank you, Tom. You saved our secret. You must be careful, Tom said. We cannot let anyone take this from us. Mira nodded. I will. I promise. One night after another lesson, Mira placed a small glowing crystal on the table. This is for you, Tom, she said. It shines when someone is truthful. You always speak the truth. Tom accepted it quietly, feeling warmth in his heart. Thank you, Myra. I will keep it safe. The weeks passed, and Mira's reading improved rapidly. She could now read simple stories aloud without mistakes. She could tell her own stories with imagination and emotion. Tom watched with pride. He realized that this child, from a species so different from humans, could learn and grow when treated with patience and kindness. One evening, Mira asked a question that surprised him. Tom, why do humans keep learning, even when it is hard? Tom thought carefully. Because learning gives hope. It teaches that even if the world is hard, we can understand it, change it, and make it better. Knowledge is stronger than fear. Mira smiled softly. I think I understand, good Tom said. That is the first step. When you understand, you can make choices that help others, not just yourself. What? Mira looked at him with deep thought. I want to help others like you help me. Then one day you will be a queen who is wise and kind. You already have the mind for it. Mira hugged her book tightly and whispered, I want to learn more tomorrow. Tom smiled. We will. Tomorrow and every day we can meet. The bond between the human janitor and the alien princess grew stronger each day. Tom realized that he was not just teaching words. He was building courage, hope, and friendship across species. Mira realized that learning was more than memorizing. It was about connection and understanding. But deep inside, both knew that the queen's watchful eyes could change everything at any moment. The secret was fragile, and every lesson was a quiet act of bravery. Yet, even in the shadow of danger, the library became a place of warmth. Words flowed, laughter echoed, and two unlikely friends discovered that kindness and patience could bridge worlds. And so, the secret lessons continued, shaping not only the mind of a young princess, but also the hope of a human father who dreamed of a better future for his son. The palace was quiet in the early morning, but the tension in the halls was not. Tom moved carefully, carrying his cleaning bag and trying not to make a sound. For weeks, he had been teaching Princess Mira in secret. Their lessons had been private, hidden from the queen's watchful eyes. Tom knew it could not last forever. The queen had a sharp mind. Nothing in the palace escaped her notice for long. Mira waited in the library as usual, sitting cross-legged on the soft floating carpet. Her silver hair shimmered under the gentle light, and her dark blue eyes sparkled with curiosity. She held the English book close, a sense of pride in her expression. Good morning. Tom, she whispered, trying not to sound too loud. Did you hear anything from the queen? Tom shook his head. No, but be careful. Today might be different. Her curiosity is strong, and she notices everything. Mira nodded. She had learned to be cautious, but her excitement to learn never faded. I am ready to continue. I have practiced the last story you taught me. Tom smiled. Very good. Let us begin. As they sat on the carpet reading aloud, Tom noticed how Mira's pronunciation had improved. She could now read sentences fluently, and she added expression naturally. Her understanding of the words went beyond just letters. She could imagine the scenes, feel the emotions, and even make small jokes about the stories. Tom felt proud. He realized that teaching her was not just about language. It was about building confidence. It's helping her find her own voice, but their peace was not to last. Suddenly, the doors of the library opened with a soft hum, and a familiar voice filled the room. What is happening here? Tom froze. Mira's eyes widened. Standing in the doorway was Queen Rinna. Her silver robe glowed like molten metal, and her eyes reflected sharp intelligence. She looked from Tom to the book in Mira's hands. Mira tried to hide the book behind her back. Mother, it is not what it looks like, she said quickly. The queen stepped inside, her gaze sharp and unwavering. Do not lie, princess. I see you have been learning human words from this. Janitor. Tom knelt instinctively. Your Majesty, I meant no disrespect. I only wanted to help Mira learn. She asked for help, and I could not refuse her. Queen Rinna's eyes narrowed. You, a human, dare to teach a princess without my permission. Do you understand the risk of your actions? Yes, Your Majesty, Tom said calmly. I understand. But I also believe that knowledge is not a threat. Understanding can bring peace even between different worlds. The queen's gaze shifted to her daughter. Mira, why did you hide this from me? Mira swallowed hard. I wanted to learn. My tutors, they only scolded me. Tom. He explains things and makes it clear. I learned better this way. The queen's expression softened slightly as she considered her daughter's words. She had always demanded perfection, obedience, and pride. But Myra's eyes held honesty, excitement, and curiosity. For the first time, the queen hesitated. Tom took a careful step forward. "Your Majesty, I only teach what is simple. Words, sentences, stories. But the lessons go beyond letters. Mira is learning to think, to express herself, to understand feelings. That is the true purpose of learning." Queen Rinna's eyes glimmered. She studied Tom for a long moment. "And you think a human is capable of this?" Tom bowed his head. "I do not think, Your Majesty. I know. I have seen her progress. She reads, she understands, she imagines. Learning is not about who we are. It is about effort and guidance." The queen was silent. Mira looked at her mother, hopeful but nervous. "Mother, he teaches me because he cares. He does not yell. He does not punish. He only helps." The queen's expression softened further. She walked closer, her presence commanding the room. "Tell me, human, why do you help my daughter? What do you gain?" Tom met her gaze calmly. "Nothing but the hope that knowledge can bridge worlds. I am a father. I have a son, Ben, back on Earth. I want him to grow in a world where humans and aliens can understand each other. Teaching Myra is a small step toward that future." The queen's eyes narrowed again. "A small step, yes. But it is forbidden to allow a human to instruct a royal child without my permission." "I understand," Tom said. "But if knowledge is forbidden, how will we ever grow? How will we ever build trust?" The queen was silent, considering his words. Mira stepped forward. "Mother, please. He has helped me more than anyone else. I can read stories. I can write my own. I feel proud. I am not afraid to try. He gives me courage." Queen Rinna's gaze shifted from Mira to Tom. She remained silent for several long moments. Finally, she spoke. "Very well. Human, I will test you. You will not continue teaching without my observation. If you fail or lead my daughter astray, you will face consequences. But if you succeed, you may continue under strict supervision." Tom bowed deeply. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I will do my best." The queen turned to Mira. "And you, princess, will continue learning, but only under guidance. Your education is vital. You must not act impulsively." Mira nodded. "Yes, mother." After the queen left, the atmosphere in the library changed. Mira looked at Tom, excitement and fear mingling in her expression. "Tom, she knows. What will happen now?" Tom smiled gently. "It is only a challenge. We must show her that learning is not dangerous, that it builds strength, not weakness." Their lessons continued, but now, with careful planning, Tom brought new stories, simple English poems, and illustrated books. He showed Mira how to create her own sentences, how to describe her world in English words, and how to connect words with feelings. Myra's confidence grew with every lesson. One afternoon, the queen visited unexpectedly. Tom knelt as usual, but the queen surprised him. She did not scold. Instead, she observed quietly as Mira read a story aloud. Tom noticed that she was listening intently, her eyes softening as the princess spoke with clarity and emotion. "Your voice is clear," the queen said after a pause. "You express meaning, not just letters." "That is good," Mira smiled shyly. "Thank you, mother." Lev felt a small relief. The queen's approval, though cautious, was a victory. It showed that understanding could grow, even in a world that valued rules above all. Over the next few weeks, the queen continued to watch from a distance. She asked questions about the stories Mira read, and sometimes tested her knowledge. Tom adapted quickly, guiding Myra without drawing attention. He taught her not only words, but also how to think critically, how to ask questions, and how to express ideas clearly. Mira flourished under his guidance. One day, the queen called Tom to the throne room. Mira was with her. "Human," the queen said, "I wish to see how well you have taught my daughter. Explain to me what she has learned." Tom nodded and gestured toward Mira. "Princess, tell the queen what you have learned from the stories we read together." Mira stepped forward confidently. She read a short story aloud, describing the characters, their feelings, and their actions. She explained the meaning of key words and expressed her opinions about the story. Her pronunciation was perfect and her understanding deep. The queen watched closely. When Myra finished, she spoke. See, you have learned not only words but comprehension and reasoning. Human, you have done well. Your guidance has merit. Tom bowed deeply. Thank you, Your Majesty. My only goal is to help her grow and to show that learning can bridge worlds. The queen nodded thoughtfully. Very well. You may continue your lessons, but always under supervision. The palace guards will observe quietly. If your teaching leads to disobedience or mischief, you will be removed. Tom agreed. I understand, Your Majesty. I will follow your rules. Mira ran to him and hugged his arm. Thank you, Tom. We did it. She trusts us now. Tom smiled gently. Yes, Mira, but we must always be careful. Trust must be earned and protected. That night, Tom returned to his small room, exhausted but relieved. He had faced the queen, explained his intentions, and won her cautious approval. He sat quietly, thinking about Ben and the future he wanted for his son. Teaching Myra was more than a job. It was a chance to show that humans and aliens could understand and respect each other. Myra's lessons continued every evening. She read stories aloud, wrote sentences, and even composed her own short poems. Tom guided her patiently, always mindful of the queen's presence and rules. Slowly, Mira began to speak more confidently, ask thoughtful questions, think beyond what her tutors had taught her. Tom realized that this was the real achievement. The words themselves were only a tool. The true power was the growth of a mind willing to learn, to feel, and to imagine. Mira's mind and heart were expanding with each lesson. The bond between the human janitor and the alien princess deepened. It was no longer just student and teacher. They had become friends, companions in curiosity, and partners in discovery. Tom knew that their secret, once a source of fear, had become a bridge between two worlds. The queen continued to watch, her judgment cautious but thoughtful. She did not fully approve yet, but she could see the change in her daughter. Myra's confidence and understanding were growing. The queen understood, perhaps for the first time, that learning and kindness could be more powerful than rules and fear, and so the lessons continued, each one a quiet act of courage. Tom taught, Myra learned, and the queen observed, slowly realizing that the simple human janitor had brought something extraordinary into the palace. Knowledge, trust, and hope were taking root in the palace for the first time. Felt a little warmer, a little brighter, and a little more alive. The palace corridors were silent that morning. Tom walked carefully, carrying his cleaning bag as he made his way toward the library. Mira was already waiting, sitting with her new English book and a small notebook. The lessons had become more advanced. She could now read paragraphs with confidence and write short sentences without mistakes. But today felt different. Tom sensed tension in the air. You seem nervous, Mira said, looking at him. Is something wrong? Tom shook his head. No, Myra, but today we may face a new challenge. Your mother watches closely now. She trusts us, but she wants to be sure we do not make mistakes. Mira's eyes widened. A challenge? Yes. She may ask questions or give tasks to see how well you have learned. It is not meant to scare you. It is meant to show your progress. Mira nodded, though she looked a little worried. She had grown confident. She had never faced a test from the queen herself. Tom opened the first book of the day, a story about a small human boy who found a lost bird and helped it return home. He read aloud slowly, emphasizing simple words. Mira repeated after him, her voice clear and careful. Tom noticed how naturally she now understood the meaning of words. It's not just the letters. When the story was finished, Tom asked questions to check her comprehension. Why did the boy help the bird? Mira thought for a moment. Because the bird was lost and needed help. The boy wanted to do good, Tom smiled. Very good. And what did he learn? That helping is important. It is more important than being first or strong. Exactly, Tom said. Now, try writing a sentence about the story in your own words. Mira picked up her notebook and wrote slowly. The boy was kind. He helped the bird fly home. Tom nodded approvingly. Excellent. You are thinking and expressing your own ideas. That is real learning. Just then, the library doors opened. Queen Rinna stepped inside quietly, her eyes sharp and observing. Myra froze for a moment, but Tom remained calm. He knew the queen was here to test them. Good morning, human, the queen said. Her voice was calm, but carried authority. I wish to see how well my daughter has learned. Show me. Tom bowed respectfully. Yes, Your Majesty. Mira, please read the story aloud. Mira took a deep breath and read clearly with feeling and understanding. She described the characters, their actions, and the meaning behind the story. She added her own thoughts, explaining why the boy acted kindly and what the lesson of the story was. The queen listened carefully. When Mira finished, she asked, Tell me, princess, what have you learned from these human words? Myra straightened her back. I've learned that words carry meaning, not just sounds. They tell stories, teach lessons, and show feelings. I can understand more than letters. I can understand hearts. The queen's eyes narrowed slightly, studying her daughter. And you, human, did you teach her this meaning? Tom nodded. Yes, Your Majesty. I guided her, but she discovered understanding on her own. My role is to help her think, not just memorize. The queen considered his words. Very well. Let me test you both further. She walked to a pedestal and picked up a small device. It projected images of earth, animals, people, and scenes. The queen spoke. Describe each image in your own words. Explain what it means and what can be learned from it. Tom and Myra looked at each other briefly. Tom nodded. We will try, princess. Speak with confidence. Mira began with the first image, a small human girl holding a flower. She is smiling. She shows kindness. Even small actions can make others happy. The next image was a river with fish swimming. Mira said, The water is calm. Fish move together. It shows that living things work in harmony. Tom encouraged her gently. Very good. Explain the next one. Myra pointed to a picture of children helping an elderly person carry a load. They are helping. Helping is important. Everyone feels good when we care for others. The queen's expression did not change, but Tom noticed a faint softness in her eyes. Mira continued, describing each image with confidence and thought. She used full sentences, explained meanings, and added reflections. Finally, the queen asked, And what is the most important lesson from these images, princess? Mira thought carefully. The most important lesson is to understand and care. Learning is not only about knowledge, it is about kindness, courage, and making good choices. The queen studied her for a long moment. Then she looked at Tom. You have guided her well, but words alone are not enough. Can you show that she can act on what she has learned? Tom nodded. Yes, Your Majesty. We can do that. He led Myra to a small simulation room where holograms of Urin City appeared. Some holograms showed people in need, a child lost, a person struggling to carry goods, and animals in danger. Tom instructed Mira, use what you learned. Think about kindness, courage, and understanding. Decide what to do for each. Mira moved confidently through the simulation. She helped the lost child find their way home, guided the struggling person, and assisted the animals safely. She explained her choices aloud. Helping makes everyone stronger. Understanding keeps peace. Courage means doing what is right. The queen watched silently. When Mira finished, she spoke. You have learned not only words, but understanding, judgment, and action. Human, you have taught her well. She has grown because of your guidance. Tom bowed. Thank you, Your Majesty. That is all I hoped for. Mira looked at her mother, smiling. Mother, I feel stronger now. I can understand and act. I can help others. The queen's face softened completely for the first time. You have exceeded my expectations, princess. And you, human, have proven your value. Knowledge, when guided with care, can be more powerful than rules. Tom felt a quiet relief. Weeks of secret lessons, careful planning, and patient teaching had led to this moment. He realized that their bond was more than teacher and student. They had built trust, understanding, and courage together. The queen spoke again. From this day, human, you may continue to teach my daughter, but always under supervision. I will personally observe key lessons. This is not only for her growth, but for the safety of the palace. Tom bowed deeply. I understand, Your Majesty. I will follow your guidance. Mira ran to him and hugged his arm. We did it, Tom. We showed her what we can do. Tom smiled. Yes, Mira, but learning never ends. We must keep trying, keep growing. Over the next few days, lessons became more structured. The queen occasionally observed, asking questions and testing Mira's knowledge. Tom guided her patiently, always emphasizing understanding and kindness. Myra's confidence grew. She spoke more clearly, wrote more creatively, and made thoughtful decisions during simulations. One afternoon, the queen visited again. She watched Myra read aloud from a story about Earth explorers discovering new lands. Mira explained the challenges, the courage of the explorers, and the lessons learned from mistakes. The queen nodded. You see, human, she has learned to understand more than words. She can think, reflect, and act. This is knowledge beyond mere letters. Tom said quietly. Yes, Your Majesty. That is why learning matters. It shapes minds, hearts, and actions. The queen looked at her daughter. Mira, you have grown in ways I did not expect. Words have given you understanding, and understanding has given you courage. I am proud of your progress. Mira smiled. Thank you, Mother. And thank you, Tom. I could not have done it without him. The queen's eyes softened further. Human, you may continue your work. Your lessons will be monitored, but your presence is now accepted. You have proven that your guidance brings value and growth. Right. Tom bowed deeply. Thank you, Your Majesty. I will continue with care and dedication. That evening, Mira and Tom returned to the library. Mira hugged her book and whispered, I feel ready for anything now. Tom smiled. You are ready, Myra, but remember, learning is a journey. There is always more to discover. Mira looked at him seriously. Then we will continue together. Every day, we will grow stronger.
Tom nodded.
Yes, together. From that day, the lessons continued openly under the Queen's supervision. Mira's progress amazed not only Tom, but also the Queen. She was learning faster than any other royal student. Not because of fear or rules, but because of curiosity, patience, and guidance. Tom realized that the secret lessons, once risky and forbidden, had become a model of understanding. Knowledge could be shared safely, kindness could be taught, and trust could be built between worlds. Mira's growth became proof that even in a palace built on rules, learning and friendship could create change. The bond between Tom and Mira deepened. They shared stories, discoveries, and laughter. The Queen's trust, though cautious, allowed the lessons to flourish. The palace began to feel warmer and brighter, not because of the suns or glowing walls, but because of the courage, understanding, and kindness shared in the quiet library. And so learning became more than words. It became action, reflection, and hope. Myra's mind and heart expanded, guided by the human janitor who believed in her. Tom felt that the future he dreamed of for Ben, a world where humans and aliens understood each other, had begun in this very palace. Through lessons of courage, knowledge, and trust. The palace was alive with excitement. Banners with golden patterns shimmered in the artificial sunlight of the grand hall. Today was special. The Queen, Arathia, had arranged a public ceremony to celebrate the young Princess Nira's achievements. Nira was nervous, but her eyes sparkled with determination. She had been practicing for weeks, repeating every word that Tom, the human janitor, had patiently taught her. Tom stood quietly at the edge of the hall. Even though he was just a janitor, the Queen had given him permission to attend the event. He adjusted his simple uniform nervously. In a palace full of nobles, diplomats, and alien scholars, he felt small and out of place. Yet he also felt proud. He had never imagined that his simple English lessons would lead to this moment. Nira walked to the stage with careful steps. The crowd was enormous. Aliens of all shapes, sizes, and colors watched with curious eyes. Some looked skeptical. Many had never seen a human up close. Some whispered among themselves, questioning why a human was even allowed near royalty. But Nira did not falter. She had one goal in her mind, to show everyone what she had learned, how much she had grown. Tom noticed the slight trembling in her hands. He smiled at her subtly, giving a small nod. That was their signal, a silent reassurance that she could do this. Nira took a deep breath, her small chest rising and falling. She lifted her head, and her voice came out clear and steady. "Greetings, honored guests," she began. Her English pronunciation was careful but confident. "I am Princess Nira of Valora. Today I wish to share something very special. I have learned a new language. I have learned about words that connect hearts, that carry feelings, and that help us understand each other." The crowd grew quiet. Aliens were not used to hearing English, especially not from a young princess. Some frowned, unsure of what to make of it. Others tilted their heads in curiosity. Nira continued, her voice gaining strength as she spoke. "My teacher is a human. He is kind, patient, and wise. He is not royalty, but he has taught me more than I ever imagined. He has taught me that every word has meaning. He has taught me to believe in myself, even when I struggle." Nira paused and turned her gaze toward Tom. He felt his heart pound. He did not expect her to speak about him in front of everyone. He shifted uncomfortably, unsure if he deserved such praise. But Nira smiled at him warmly, and that small gesture gave him courage. "Thank you, my teacher, for showing me the power of words. Thank you for helping me grow, for helping me find my voice, and for helping me share my thoughts with others." A soft murmur ran through the hall. Some of the alien nobles whispered among themselves. Teaching was considered important, but humans were rarely trusted with royal children. Yet here was proof that patience and care could make a difference. Even Queen Arathia, standing proudly behind Nira, felt her heart swell with pride. She looked at Tom and saw the truth in his eyes. He had done this honestly and humbly, without asking for reward or recognition. Nira continued, "I hope my story will show everyone that knowledge is a gift, that teaching and learning are not about power or titles. They are about kindness, understanding, and patience. Every being can learn, every heart can grow, and every mind can shine." Tom felt tears sting his eyes. He had taught many children back on Earth, but never had anyone spoken like this in front of a royal crowd. He had never imagined that a simple human janitor could help a princess stand confidently before an entire world. The Queen stepped forward. Her voice was strong yet gentle. "Today my daughter has shown us that greatness does not come from birth alone. Greatness comes from learning, from patience, and from kindness. And today, we acknowledge the contribution of one human among us, a man who has changed not just the mind of my daughter, but her heart and perhaps even the heart of Valora itself." The hall erupted in applause. Some of the nobles clapped hesitantly at first, unsure if it was proper, but soon everyone joined. Aliens of all kinds rose from their seats, their voices creating a deep echo throughout the grand chamber. Tom remained standing, bowing slightly, feeling a mixture of pride and humility. He had never imagined such a moment. He had come to Valora as a simple janitor, hoping to care for his son. And now he stood recognized by the Queen herself. Nira finished her speech with a gentle smile. "Thank you for listening. I hope that every one of us can learn from each other, no matter where we come from, no matter our size or shape. Words are bridges, and kindness is the light that makes the bridges strong." The crowd rose to their feet. Some wiped tears from their eyes. Many looked at Tom with newfound respect. He had not wielded any power, nor had he performed feats of strength. Yet he had done something even greater. He had inspired a young princess to grow, to speak. and to believe in herself. After the ceremony, the queen approached Tom. Her expression was calm but filled with warmth. "You have done more than I could have imagined. I once thought humans were fragile, but you have shown me a different kind of strength. Your patience, your care, and your wisdom are remarkable. From today onward, you are no longer just a janitor. You are a teacher, a mentor, and an advisor to the royal family." Tom shook his head in disbelief. "Your Majesty, I am only a human. I only wanted to help Nira learn. I never imagined." The queen interrupted him gently. "That is exactly why you are remarkable. True greatness comes from doing good without expecting reward. That is what makes you worthy of trust and respect here." Nira took Tom's hand and held it gently. "You believed in me when no one else did. You taught me that learning can be fun and that words can make a difference. Thank you for everything." "Right." Tom knelt slightly to be at her level. "I am proud of you, Nira. You have worked hard, and you have learned more than I could ever teach. You made it your own. I only helped guide you." The queen watched the exchange quietly, a soft smile on her face. She knew that Tom had not only helped Nira, but had also taught her something important. Even a queen could learn from humility and kindness. She realized that humans, though small and simple in appearance, had great hearts and minds. In the following days, Tom's life changed. He was no longer limited to cleaning the palace halls. The queen allowed him to design lessons for other young aliens who struggled with language. He created small study groups using simple, practical methods. Aliens who had once dismissed humans now sought his guidance. His influence spread quietly but powerfully. Nira thrived. She became more confident in her studies and in interacting with others. She would often laugh while practicing English, her voice carrying through the palace corridors. Tom continued to guide her, always patient, always supportive. Their bond grew stronger, and the queen occasionally joined in the lessons, showing that learning could be a family activity. One evening, after a long day of lessons, Tom stood on the palace balcony. Looking out at the glowing city of Valora, Nira ran up beside him, excited. "Tomorrow, we will start a new story, teacher," she said eagerly. Tom smiled. "I look forward to it. Every story is a chance to learn something new." Nira leaned against him. "You have given me more than words. You have given me confidence. I will never forget it." Tom looked down at the young princess and realized that he had learned something too. He had learned that no matter where he came from, no matter how small he felt, he could make a difference. He had learned that patience, kindness, and belief in others could change lives. The stars of Valora twinkled above them. The palace was quiet now, but it held a warmth that had not been there before. The queen's decision to trust a human had shown everyone that greatness was not about titles or power, but about the heart and the willingness to help others. Tom knew that his journey on Valora was far from over. He had many lessons to teach, many young minds to guide, and many hearts to inspire. But at that moment, standing on the balcony with Nira by his side, he felt a deep sense of fulfillment. He had come as a janitor, but he had become something greater. Princess Nira whispered softly, "Teacher, thank you for everything." Tom smiled and ruffled her hair gently. "And thank you, Nira, for teaching me too. You have taught me that hope and kindness are stronger than any challenge. Together, we can make the world brighter, one word at a time." The palace lights shimmered across the halls, reflecting off the golden banners. In that quiet, glowing moment, human and alien hearts connected. The lessons of patience, courage, and friendship would echo through the halls of Valora for years to come. And Tom, the humble human janitor, knew that even small acts of teaching and kindness could change the course of many lives, creating a legacy that no title or crown could ever replace. The story of a human janitor. A princess and an alien queen became known across Valora. Everyone spoke of the girl who learned English from a human, and the man whose simple heart taught lessons that no one else could. And through it all, one truth remained clear. The power of kindness and patience could build bridges between worlds. And the human heart, though small, could achieve greatness beyond measure.